Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Arian. I am photo retoucher and you can learn, make and create together with me. So today I'm going to show you how you can edit a beauty portrait step by step using my actions. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first thing first, as you can see, this portrait needs to be clean, and for cleaning we are going to use three different tools: spot healing brush tool, healing brush tool, and patch tool. So I'm just going to start with spot healing brush tool because it's my favorite one, and I will zoom in here in the forehead, and as you can see, the portrait needs to be cleaned very well, because this makes our workflow easier. Because when we clean in the beginning, that I mean like when the clean is really nice at the beginning, and we'll proceed with dodge and burn, frequency separation, and finish and export settings, the workflow will go really nice, because the cleaning is the basic thing for a portrait. So let's just get started. And before we start retouching this portrait, you can find the retouching actions down there in the description. And if you want to get this raw file and follow my step-by-step process, link also is in the description. So let's just get started. And for cleaning, I'm going to use healing brush tool and click here on the clean and black and white help layer and click play. After we do that, as you can see, we have two different layers. One of them is clean, is a background duplicated layer, and the black and white help layer that helps us to clean in some parts where we have some harsh highlights. So I'm just gonna turn off this first because we don't need this time, and maybe later, and I will start cleaning. This process takes more time because it's clean is the most basic thing on a portrait, and it's really necessary for every kind of portrait. I mean, like if you want to pose the portrait even without retouch or anything else, we sure need that to be clean. So see you guys in a few seconds. And now that we are done with some general clean, as you can see, a before and after, let me just zoom in. It's time to work with the dodge and burn and frequency separation, but first with the dodge and burn. So I'm just going to merge these two into one, and click here on dodge and burn, click play, and turn on the black and white help layer. Click on the dodge, turn on the desaturated layer first because we don't need that, and use a white brush of 10% and the flow about 55%, and start painting in some mid-tone spot where we need to dodge. This will help us to create some really nice effects for the beauty portrait. Let me just check a before and after, and yeah, it started to look good, so we need to keep working. And here is another trick: if you don't want to zoom in and zoom out every time, just go to the window and click arrange, and click new window for this name of the portrait. Go again to window, arrange, and click to up vertical. This will create two windows. So we are going to work on this and zoom out just a little and move this, sorry, into the right. And here is our zoom out portrait. Let me just zoom in like this, and we work on this one. This is our zoom in and this is our zoom out, so we don't have to zoom in and zoom out every time. This is the best technique for dodge and burn, because you don't want to zoom in and zoom out every time you are doing something with a brush. So let's just keep working. You have to check the left side. I mean, like if you are very nice with the dodge and burn, you can just keep working on the right window that we are working right now, and keep an eye right there. So as you can see, a before and after, and this is a great technique. So keep working with the dodge and burn. Now that we are done with the dodge, let me just check a before and after. As you can see, a before and after what we've done so far with the dodge. It's time for the burn. So we use the same method technique for the burn tool. We just zoom in, and as you can see where we need to burn, and now that we are done with the burn, let me just check a before and after. As you can see, in some parts it's kind of way too much, and in some it's really nice. Just open the group and turn off the saturated layer because we don't need it this time, and drop down the opacity by 50 maybe, and yeah, I guess it's looking good. Now check a before and after of this entire process so far. Now close this window because we don't need that. As you can see, a before and after of what we've done. Let me just check dodge again, and let me just reduce the dodge just a little and merge these layers into one again, or maybe I will just leave them as they are. Merge, nope, sorry, just make a group because I'm going to save this PSD files. I'm going to save this PSD with the files, so let me just rename this dodge and burn. Oops, sorry, burn, and here we have. Now duplicate this and merge the group into one. Now we have a before and after. Now that we are done with dodge and burn, go to the actions again and click on the frequency separation plus, click play. And for the right radius of this portrait, we have to slide this into the left by 0.1, zoom out and zoom in where we have some harsh texture like this, and slide this into right until we see that texture that has been disappeared. And I think that 8 is looking nice, but I think that I will go with 7. Yeah, I'm going with 7. Now that we created the frequency separation, as you can see here, we have the low frequency and the high frequency. So the frequency separation is the technique that works in both ways. So first is the skin or the color, and the second is the skin texture or the high frequency. As you can see, let me just turn off, and it's totally blurry. So we have to work on the color first, and to work on this, I'm going to use mixer brush. And for the mixer brush settings, I'm going with a wet by 10%, load by 30%, mix by 45, and flow by 33. And I will just zoom in here on the forehead and start using mixer brush. So mixer brush does the mixing the colors, I mean like the skin colors with the highlights and shadows, just like this. And because I forgot to mention, because I'm using a Wacom Tools Pro, so I'm using a pen for retouching, and it's very nice because it makes your workflow very smooth and very fast. So if you are using a mouse right now, I would suggest to get a pen tablet because for retouching it's really great. Now enough with the free advertising, go back to the retouching. As you can see what we've done so far, let me just turn on the high frequency or the texture. Let me just check a before and after. Now turn on the black and white help layer, and you can see what we've done so far. So keep working with the low frequency, and after we are done with the low frequency, we go to the high frequency. So that is another thing. Let me just finish in the low frequency with the mixer brush. So be careful, the settings works fine only for the pen. So if you are using a mouse, switch between like something a little bit higher with them, because with the mouse it's a little bit harder in this part. And now that we are done with the low frequency, as you can see a before and after what we've done so far, let me just zoom in here and see a better before and after. And I think that is looking really nice. Just that we have interfered with the eyebrows. So I'm just going to create another layer mask and use a black brush with 100% opacity and 100% flow, and just paint this out because we don't need to touch the eyebrows. Now let's just check a before and after, and I think that is looking really nice. Now that we are done with the low frequency, it's time for the high frequency. So in the high frequency, we clean. So for cleaning in the high frequency, we are going to use clone stamp tool with 100% opacity and 100% flow. So for cleaning in the high frequency, we are going to use, as I said, clone stamp tool. Clone stamp tool works this way. So we click Alt keyboard and we copy the texture here and paste it here. We have to work really slow in this part because we don't need to create, for example, like some bad texture like this. For example, if we copy here and we paste it here, as you can see, we create some bad texture. So be careful when using the clone stamp tool in the high frequency. You have to copy and paste the texture as near as possible. And now that we are done with the high frequency, let me just check a before and after. What we've done so far, let me just zoom in and before and after. And I think that is looking really nice. Now that we are done with frequency separation, it's time to add some dodge and burn again. Click on dodge and burn and click play. And here we have the dodge and burn. So I'm just going to turn on the black and white help layer again, and with a white brush and 10% opacity, I'm going to add some dodge to the portrait. And here you can see a before and after what we've done in the dodge. We just remove some from this part. Let me just check before and after again. And I think that is looking nice. Now just reduce the opacity by 80%. And I think that is looking good. Now that we are done with the dodge, it's time for some burn. And with a white brush and 10% opacity, I'm just going to work around the forehead, just a little on the eyebrows. Add some contours around the cheeks, just a little under the lips. And let me just check a before and after. And yeah, it started to look nice. Add some burn to the hair to create them a nice look. Let me just check a before and after. And I think that is looking really nice. Now reduce the opacity by maybe 68%. Now check a before and after of what we've done so far in this portrait. Now that we are done with frequency separation and global dodge and burn, it's time to work on some makeup things. So I'm just going to duplicate this dodge here and hold shift keyboard, click here and make a group from layers, rename Retouch. Duplicate this group and merge the group into one. Click Ctrl A and Ctrl C for copy. Go to another window. Let me just create another window and paste it here. Merge these two layers into one. The reason why I'm doing this, it's because some actions doesn't work when we have like too many layers here. So be careful when you are doing this. And it's time for some eye work. So click here on the eye plus and click play. Click continue, click OK. Open this group and click here on the brightening. Zoom in and add some brightness to the eyes. This one is for removing the veins, but since we cleaned the portrait on the beginning, we don't need to use this action this time. Now zoom out and check a before and after. Reduce the opacity. Click on the eyeball lightening and add some light into the eyeballs. As you can see, it makes them look really nice. And reduce this by 80, maybe it's enough. Click on the iris contour and create some contours around the eyes. Don't forget to do this process in both of them. Let me just check a before and after. And yeah, I think it's looking nice. Now check a before and after what we've done so far. Now that we are done with the eye plus, merge these two into one and click here on the smoky eyes and mascara and click stop. Click here on the eyeshadows that says pick a color you want. Click play 3 times maybe and put this on top. Click on the mascara and zoom in with a white brush. Just paint it here, make them really dark because this is what this action does, as you can see. Let me just zoom out, check a before and after, and you can create something really nice with this action. But you have to reduce it because it's way too much, so I'm just gonna go by maybe 25, and I think 25 is enough. Click on the smoky eyes and paint it like this with a higher brush, and I will create these lines just a little and paint it like this. Let me just check a before and after. I think it's okay. Let me just remove from this part with a black brush. Let me check a before and after. I think it's looking good, but I'll reduce this by 40 and I think it's okay. Now click on the eyeshadows that says pick a color. This one is for the eye makeup. So for example, if you copy the color from the lips, I mean that is pink, you can just paint it like this and it will create some nice eye makeup. And this one is obviously looking really nice, but it's way too much, so I'm just gonna reduce this by 25. I just did that as a test, but it's looking good. Now click on the eyeshadows that says pick a color, so I'm gonna pick another color, something like this, and start painting again. And don't forget to do this process in both of them. I mean, like if you want to do a mix of the colors, you can just do it and it will really look really nice. For example, let me just pick some kind of, I don't know, maybe green color, something like that, and you zoom in with a 100% and let me just paint it. And as you can see, it looks really nice and doesn't affect anything, just the eye makeup. But we are going to stick with the color that makeup artist did on this portrait. So I'm gonna add some highlights here on the portrait. I'm just gonna copy this color, which is kind of light pink, and I will paint it just like that. Let me just check a before and after, and yeah, I think it's good. Now with a darker brush, I'm gonna copy some color here, start painting on these lights because I want to make them look really good. Let me do this process in the other side. Now check a before and after, and I think that is looking really nice. A before and after of what we've done so far. This is really nice, but we have to reduce just a little and make them from a group from layers, and rename eyes Retouch makeup artist. You can just rename like that, and here you can have a before and after what we've done so far. Now that we are done with the eyes retouch, as you can see, a before and after, just merge them into one, and it's time for the lips. So click here on the lips, dodge and burn, and click play. Zoom in into the lips, and here you can have that says pick lips color dodge. So you have to pick the lip color that is on the portrait, and this one is for the dodge. It's the dodge with the color of the lips that you have in your portrait, and it's really nice. Now zoom out. I mean, like if you want to see a before and after, as you can see, it's looking really nice. Zoom out again and check a before and after, and I think it's good. Let me just reduce the opacity and click on the other one that says pick lips color burn. This one is for the burn. Now copy a darker color of the lips, and I think it's this one. Now let me just check a before and after, and this one is obviously way too much, but we have to reduce this by 25 because higher than that, I think it's gonna destroy the color of the lips. Now click on the group and reduce this by 80%. Now that we are done with the lips dodge and burn, just merge them into one again. Click here that says lips glow, click play, and with a white brush and 100% opacity, I'm just gonna paint it on the lips. Let me just check a before and after from the zoom out, and I think that this one is looking good. Let me just remove some of this action from outside the lips. As you can see before and after, let me just reduce by 15 maybe, and 15 is okay. Now that we're done with the lips glow, merge them again and click on the soft lips and wait until it's done. I'll zoom in with a white brush again and 100% opacity. Let's just paint on the lips a before and after. I think it's looking really nice. Let me just reduce this by 25. Now that we're done with soft lips, merge them again and click here that says lips and cheeks. Click play, click stop, and zoom in into the lips. Paint. This is a rosy look for the lips. If you want to add this one into your portrait, you can do that. It's not necessary, but this will make them look even better, as you can see. And this one is way too much, so I'm gonna reduce this by 20%, and I think that is looking okay. Click here that says rosy cheeks, and with a white brush and 10% opacity, I'm just gonna paint over the cheeks. Now that we are done with both of them, again merge these layers into one. And now that we are done with the eyes and with the lips, it's time to add some whitened teeth. So just click play and zoom in with a 100% opacity, and of a white brush just paint it like that and reduce this and merge them again. Now that we're done with that too, just click on the sharpen, basic contrast and face contour and 3 of them and click play. Click continue, click OK, click stop. And as you can see, we have added the sharpen, basic contrast and contour. So the sharpen is turned off, so let's just switch from the black mask to the white one by clicking Ctrl and delete, so it's all white as you can see. Now check a before and after all the sharpen, and it's really sharp, so I'm just going to reduce this by 45 maybe. Check a before and after. I think that 45 is okay. Turn on the basic contrast, and this one is way too much, so I'm just gonna go by 25 and click here on the contour. And as you can see, we added some contours to this portrait. Double click here, and this one is for the whites, midtones and the shadows, so I'm just gonna play with the whites. I'll slide them into the right. Now check a before and after. Let me just zoom in, and I think that this one is way too much. I'm just gonna go by 45. Now click on the sharpen because 45 of the sharpen is way too much. So I'm gonna go by 25. Now check a before and after, and I think it's looking good. And as you can see here, we have some missing texture, so I'm just gonna add some digital texture. Just click here that says skin texture and click play. With a white brush and 100%, I'm just gonna paint it like that. And as you can see, you are adding some texture. You can check the portrait for some missing parts of the texture, and you can add with this action. So let me just zoom in and check a before and after. This one is looking really nice, but let me just reduce this by 50% and check a before and after again. Now that we are done with these settings, just merge them into one, and it's time for some color grade. So for color grade, we are going to the actions again, and here you can see color grade white skin, and I'm gonna play them one by one until I find my best color grade. So I'm gonna stick with the CG4 and A4, so I'm gonna mix them both. So just click on the move tool and move these color grade actions into the original file. put this on top, as you can see, and delete the CG4. Click on the A4 again, click play, and again with a move tool, I'm just gonna move this color grade into the original file. And as you can see, we have the all files here. I'm just gonna merge them into a group and rename this Retouch plus makeup. And here we have a before and after of what we've done so far. Now click on the CG4 and check them one by one until we find the perfect color grade. And I will make some changes here on these settings. Now close the CG4 again, and as you can see a before and after of the color grade. I'm just gonna add some adjustments more, so click here and click on the color balance and click on the highlights. Let me just make this portrait looks more into red, into yellow, something like that. As you can see before and after, so 100% is way too much, so reduce this. Click here on the color balance again, click on the midtones and switch the blending mode from normal to soft light and make this again into yellow, into a red. So reduce this by 12% and click here on the color balance again and click the shadows. So for the shadows, I'm going just a little into the blue, into the cyan, but with 10% opacity. Click on the selective color and click on the yellows and play with this until you find your perfect color grade, and reduce this by 50%. Click again on the selective color and click on the red and play with them again until you find your best color grade. Reduce this again. Now that we are done, click here, hold shift keyboard and click here and group this and rename the group color grade. Now let me check a before and after of what we've done with the color grade. Now this is before. Let me just zoom in. This is after. This is a step-by-step what we've done today in this video tutorial. As you can see, we added some clean into the portrait. Now after the clean, we did some dodge and burn, as you can see. After of that, we add some frequency separation and some dodge and burn. And after we are done with that, we add some makeup artist things, as you can see a before and after. And after we are done with the makeup actions, we added some color grade, and here's our final product. Let me just zoom in again and check a before and after of this whole process of this video tutorial. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Please don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let me know if I am understandable or not. If you didn't subscribe already, consider to subscribe, because I post this kind of videos once time per week. And see you guys in the next one. Peace.